In today's show, I'm going to talk about the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. So, quick little show. I don't think this is going to go very long. I just want to give an announcement about some fantasy contests that are being run this season. So we might as well get straight into that right now, Warnie.
Let's get it on, Gilly.
First of all, let's talk about the FBI LOFB World Cup. Back in August, I had 288 slots available for this league, and I've filled them all up. It is a worldwide competition of the best fantasy basketball players, and you win it. You get some money, but you get a lot of privilege as well. You get a lot of praise to be considered the best player. There are still some entry spots available, not through me though. I have given out my 288 of these. It is a 48 division, 12 team leagues. 48 12s, that's 576 teams. It's a 9 category, just standard roster, 10 starters, 3 bench, 14 man roster, an injured reserve slot. There's slow drafts. It has 2 redraft sections, so it's 3 phases. You get through the first phase, you get into the second phase, then you get to the final phase to win the overall title, where there's going to be a prize, cash, and something else. The FBI guys have run this for a long time, and we're combining with them this season to co-produce this tournament. It's a $20 entry for the FBI LOFB World Cup. Now, I say all this, I've given out all my entries. But if you do want to get into this, you got to go to FBIbasketball.com. Adam Kingy, you know, he's been on this podcast many times. His podcast gives out entries to these. They're giving them out in their Discord server as well. So go to FBIbasketball.com, follow FBI Basketball on Twitter, follow BDub at Hidden Upside on Twitter, and he'll have the details for those remaining spots. I know they're filling up, and they're going to fill up very quickly over the next couple of weeks. So if you do want in the FBI LOFB World Cup, get across to FBIbasketball.com and get those remaining slots. Good idea. Now, it's time for me to announce the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl, which we ran last season to a degree of success, I would say. Last season, we had 2 separate sections, a category league section. There was 360 teams in that, a points league section, and there was 360 teams in that. And then at the end, we had one final winner. In the points league, it was Karan of Styles of Beyond. He won the Points League Battle Royale. And then Ariel from Day to Day Fantasy won the Category League Battle Royale to be crowned the champions. Are you going to be able to do what Karan and Ariel did this last season and win? It's going to be harder because we're going bigger. I don't know if we're going to go bigger for Points Leagues, but we are probably going to go bigger for Category Leagues. The prizes are going to be bigger and the field is going to be bigger. So, last season we had $25 entry. I am upping it to $50. You might say, why are we upping it to $50? Well, I want to, $25 isn't a huge amount of money. $50 might be a bit of money for people. I understand that. But it's a 24-week contest. It's $2 a week, basically. And this enables some decent-sized payouts at the end. Last season, if you were able to qualify for the Battle Royale, you won $75. This season, if you qualify for the Battle Royale, you win $200. So we're upping the prize there. Last season, we gave away, I think it was a $5,000 prize to the person who won the Battle Royale. This season, we're going to give prizes out to the top 3 in the Battle Royale, and they're going to be bigger than $5,000. Well, at least first place is. So we're going to go bigger. I don't know exactly what that prize is going to be, the total amount, because I don't know how many teams we're going to do. But I am going to cap it. I'm going to cap it at 720 Category League teams and 720 Points League teams. 60 divisions. For those of you that were in it last season, we ran 30 divisions, and the Fantrax site slowed down a little bit. We're going to tweak that so that there's going to be different leagues with 10 divisions in each, so it's not as slow. We're still going to have the final week battle royale. So you're in your 12-man division. You play your opponents in your 12-man division. You get into the playoffs of your 12-man league. 8 teams out of the 12 make the playoffs. 1v8, 2v7. You know how it works. And then you win that, and then it gets to the next round of playoffs. And then the 2 teams that are remaining after 2 rounds of playoffs, they go through to the battle royale. And in the battle royale week, everybody plays everybody for 1 week. Last season, there were 60 people in the battle royale. So you were against 59 other people. Now, Ariel, for day-to-day fantasy, amazingly in that final week, he went 59-0. He beat every single opponent that he played in a category league matchup. Just a huge thing. The points league one is just total fantasy points in the battle royale week. You win. Whoever's got the most points wins in that week. So that's what the battle royale is. So if we have 60 divisions of category leagues, that battle royale week will have 120 teams in it. And you'll be up against 119 opponents for the week and see who gets the best result. We're running 2 different formats, the standard 9 category and ESPN points default. Last year we ran sort of a hybrid ESPN Yahoo point scoring. I'm going to ESPN points default this time, which includes points taken away for shots missed. Higher points for steals and blocks, but you lose shots for field goals attempted, lose points for field goals attempted and free throws attempted. So we're doing standard nightcap and ESPN points default as your 2 different formats. So what do the rosters look like? We're going 10 starters, guard, forward, center, flex, a guard center, and a forward center, which is, can either be a guard or a center or a forward or a center. And we're going big for the bench. We're going 8 bench. I want this to be more default. I want bigger benches in fantasy. I want us to have the ability to stash guys, more strategy, more forward thinking, more to the fact that when you get 3 injuries, you're not rooted completely. You've got the ability to sit guys there. But we're also going to combat that with a games cap. Last season, we ran a games cap. A lot of people of you had never played in a games cap league, which was stunning to me, but a lot of people hadn't, and they hated the way it worked, some of them. Oh, what is this crap? Where if you're at 39 on one day, then you can actually go over the next day. That's just the way that those games caps work. I've changed it. I'm running this head-to-head league like a roto league in terms of games cap. Each position of those 10 starting positions, you can have 4 games max for the week. So at guard 1, you can only have 4 games played. At guard 2, you can have 4 games played. At forward, you can have 4 games played. So you can only have an absolute maximum of 4 games played for the week. So per slot, 40 for your team. 40 versus 40. Streaming schedule doesn't really matter that much. Get the right guys off the waiver wire. Have the right stashes. Have the right draft. 8 bench, 3 IR. 40 games hard cap. We're doing fab bidding, and I'm trying something new with a 2 fab bidding situation per day. There's one that goes in the morning, and there's another one that will run in the late afternoon so that when you see injury news happen and you want, hey, I want this guy in for today, you can add him in. 2 fab bidding processing times per day. I hope that it will work. I think it will. 2 processes per day. Fab bidding helps with different time zones, but one of the drawbacks to it is that you can only pick up a free agent once per day. And you go, oh, I added this guy, and then I didn't know someone was going to get ruled out and I have to wait till the next day. And I really needed him for Sunday's matchup or whatever. So I'm going to try and alleviate that by having 2 processing times per day. Now, what that'll mean is when you put your claim in for the first one, and if you miss out, you then have to go put your second one in. So there's 2 options per day to do it. Also, that because of the limits of the roster and the games cap for the week, there is unlimited ads for the week. All right? You can't hard stream. You can't. You can only play 40 games. But you can add as many guys as you want during the week. Be as active as you want. Last season, we didn't have trades. And this season, maybe against my better judgment, we are doing trades. But I am going to be like a hawk on these. I am judge and jury and executioner on every trade. And if you're screwing up, well, I'll block the trade and I'll lock your team. Simple as that. So, that's what we're doing. So the streaming, the schedule, it's taken out of it. the injuries don't hurt you as much because of the ability to have a larger bench. We've got the IR slots as well. And we're running slow drafts. I was debating doing some of these as auction leagues. I don't think I'm going to. At this point, I'm not doing any auction league drafts. It's just a little bit harder to do with comparing, because I think that when you get into the end in a battle royal matchup, the way that an auction draft team can be constructed, if you hit it, it's actually way better than the best snake draft team can be. I think that probably gives a bit of an unfair advantage there. So I'm not going to do auction drafts. Now, that is what the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl is. 9 categories, points league, 2 sides. Josh, how do I enter? I'm sure you're asking. Well, just wait. Because later this week, the team preview podcasts, the fantasy team preview podcasts are going to start. It's the exact same way that we did it last season. Well, not the exact same way, but I announced how to enter in each of those shows. Last season, we had a division like a Hawks division, a Celtics division, a Hornets division. They're not going to be named that this season, but they are going to be tied into the teams. So there will be a separate link in the show notes and the YouTube description of each of those team preview shows for you to submit an application. It'll have some questions in there and an ability for me to sort of sort, but don't be shocked if you get a great score on a quiz and don't get in, because we're going to have a lot of people enter. You can enter once for the category league and once for the points league. You can enter for both. So, that will come out this week. We are doing max 720 teams for both of these. We'll see how many we fill. I think it's going to be fun. I hope it is. I'm in both of them. I made the final of the category league one last season. I didn't make the final of the points league one. It's all right. And that's what we're doing. So if you have any questions about the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl or the FBI World Cup, drop them in the comments below, tweet them at me. But just stay tuned. Also, if you made the Battle Royal last season, I sent you an email. You got priority access this season. If you're a Basketball Monster member, go check the forums over there. There's priority access for you over there as well. So, this is starting next week. Getting names in. Be ready. Told you it was going to be a short one. But I do have to tell you that today's episode was brought to you by Ibotta. Pick up something for a summer barbecue. Well, Ibotta, your food, plates, cutlery, or silverware, as you guys would call it. All of it costs money. You got to buy it. So when do you get some money back? You're already doing that, and Ibotta gives you that cash back. Simple. You go in, you have your loyalty cards linked up to Ibotta, or you scan your receipt when you're done, and they just give you cash back. You might get up to $120 a year, which enables you to throw another barbecue. It's so simple to do. You get it back in either cash straight to your bank account, into your PayPal, or in the form of a gift card. And right now, Ibotta is giving you just $5. $5 straight away, just for trying Ibotta if you use the code LOCKED when you register. Go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free Ibotta app and use the code LOCKED. That's Ibotta, I-B-O-T-T-A, in the Google Play or the App Store, and use the code LOCKED. And that'll do it, guys. Quick show. Announcing the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl. Be ready for the team preview shows for the information of how to enter each specific division. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of contests to get in this. A lot of people want to get this. There are 720 category league spots. There are 720 points league spots. There are 61,000 subs on YouTube. Right? That's a lot of people. So hopefully you're able to get in. And the competition's going to be fierce. Follow this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. And if you're here on YouTube, thumb it up and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.
I could barely recognize my own dick.